Zineb Riboua is here, research fellow at the Center for Peace and Security in the Middle East. This is barbaric stuff. This is Neanderthal. I don't even know that the Taliban would do something like this.
Yes, but it has to be expected. I think that it's not really a coincidence that this is happening now. The Islamic Republic of Iran is I think, correctly assessing that it's weak. There were immense protests 2 years ago and immense protests in January. They lost Syria. They're losing in Lebanon. They have been absolutely, I think, there's a showcase of how, with all of their proxies and their missiles, etc., they still lost to Israel, and they are being basically humiliated by the United States because they were banking on a global recession. They have to pursue maximum repression against their people. Otherwise, they will rebel, and I think that this is why this is happening right now. And they're very much aware that the Iranians are just not following their doctrine. There was something very interesting that happened during Operation Epic Fury, which is that the IRGC was really struggling to recruit to the point where they had to recruit children, 12-year-olds. And this just shows that they have to show that they still have a coercive capacity so that they can maintain everyone in line.
You know, this is the same regime that in 2022 beat to death 16-year-old Mahsa Amini for not wearing her hijab properly. This is what Marco Rubio said about the current regime. Listen here.
The Iranian system is led by clerics, radical clerics. That's what it's always been led by. And I think at the end, you know, we know that people that are still at the top levels of that government are people that adhere to the same theology and the same mentality as the people that have led it in the past.
Now, but this is the problem that a lot of expatriate Iranians have, that a lot of people inside the country who we're hearing voices from have, that after everything that happened with Operation Epic Fury, after taking down their Navy, after taking down their Air Force, after degrading their missile and their drone capability and taking out several layers of leadership, it's the same old deal in Iran. Nothing has changed.
Yes, but I think that I would give it still some time. The war is still not over. And there is something very interesting that is happening in the region. Even Saudi Arabia is, you know, I would say still liberalizing. They are opening up their economy. The same for the UAE, for Bahrain. The Iranians are seeing the deal that they got out of the Islamic Republic, which is that they give all of their money, the pensions, etc., for the IRGC. And what do they get in return? Well, nothing. Not even the water management is working properly. And I think that what this operation has actually showed, even though the MOU is ongoing, etc., is that the Islamic Republic is weaker than it says it is. Right. And that's a very important point that I think Iranians themselves are realizing.
And maybe that's one of the reasons why it's lashing out as severely as it is. We talked with Nazi Moinian yesterday about a new trend that we see in Tehran and other places, women actually going out in public, not wearing hijabs in protest of the regime. They're prepared to put their lives on the line for this. But again, when we see the punishment that was handed down to Paris to Ahmadi, they really are taking a huge risk.
Yes, and this is where the United States plays an immense role when keeping the pressure against the IRGC. Because people forget that the Islamic Republic is a revolutionary state. It needs people to believe in its revolution so that it can spread it around, not just in the Middle East, but across the globe. And the fact that they cannot maintain that at home is an immense weakness that the United States needs to play on.
Now, I remember back at the beginning of the war, Iran was going to summarily execute 4 people. They did execute that young wrestler. And President Trump intervened and said, if you execute those people, it's going to be bad for you. And this was before the war actually started. Do you believe that in Parastu Ahmadi's case, the president should intervene and say, don't you dare whip that woman 74 times, or anybody else who commits the supposed crime of not wearing a hijab?
Yes, absolutely. I think that
he's got the power to do that.
Absolutely. I think that President Trump should put immense pressure, because the truth is the Islamic Republic is just not as strong as it was, and it's not going to be. There is a huge generational gap. The clerics that Secretary Rubio was talking about, well, they had a lot of power, but now no one believes in them. And to be fair and to be honest, you know, some hijab is not what is going to make all of the Iranians still believe in a republic that does not deliver for them.
Yeah, I mean, the president is aggressively trying to get a nuclear deal with Iran to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, but I mean, there's got to be a place in there somewhere for human rights in that country.
Yeah, I think that the MOU or the negotiation talking point should have something on this as well. But it's an MOU on the 60 days of negotiations that may or may not happen. And I think that for now, the United States is trying to buy time and keeping the prices low. We will see how it ends, but President Trump should definitely say something.
All right, well, we'll see if he does step forward to try to stop this heinous thing from taking place. Zineb, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.